Hello and welcome to Sci-Fi Christian Game of Thrones Reviews. I'm Ben DeBono.
I'm Ben Kirkwell.
We are talking about Season 5, Episode 4, Sons of the Harpy, who weren't in much, but when they were, they made it count.
Yeah, that was the reason their name was in the episode title.
Now, just a quick programming note for everyone. I don't know whether or not you guys will get an episode next week. I will be out of town until late Monday, so you'll see Ben, and possibly Emily, 2 weeks from now. I might try and get an episode out to you guys solo, but it just might not happen too. We'll just see how I'm feeling. So, there. Yeah.
We'll make something work, right?
No, maybe not.
Give the fans what they need.
We'll see.
You're always a people person.
That's right. So you found your pipe this week.
I did. You know, we moved, we unpacked several of 40, I don't even know. There's like 50, 60 boxes of stuff. This was the last box I unpacked. I managed to find this.
Nice.
I was like, oh, this is the box that it was in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy to have my old pipe back. Have my own tobacco tonight, smoking the classic Cavendish.
Nice.
Which is good. And I have my handy pipe lighter, which is much better than matches for someone of my stature.
Well, hey, you got your own pipe tool too and everything, so it's great. So you actually finished unpacking everything?
Everything is unpacked. We just have to hang. Tomorrow is hanging night, so we are hanging all pictures and everything.
Oh, that's
Other than that, we're done. I think.
Wow. See, we got to a point when we moved in here where we were just burned out on unpacking, and so we shoved everything in the closet that wasn't yet unpacked.
No. See, everything that we were like, well, if we don't need it, we just chucked it.
Oh.
It's gone.
Well, that's the way to go.
So, because kid's coming soon, and he's going to take up the rest of that space. So.
That's true. You assembled the crib, I saw.
Yes, we did. Assembled the crib last night, and
we'll hope it's strong and sturdy enough. And,
yeah.
It's kind of tough to test cribs because they're probably not meant to hold your weight.
So, I feel like I screwed it in.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Babies are resilient anyway. So, we're going to be drinking tonight a beer that is near and dear to my heart. I don't think I've told you the story behind this beer yet.
No.
Unibrow, however you say it, from Quebec. So they're French-Canadian. La Fin du Monde. This beer is near and dear to my heart, like I said, because, as you know about me, I hate, with an intense passion, Disney, and especially Disney World.
Right.
I went on vacation to Disney World with the fam about 1.5 years ago, and I had a miserable time.
That seemed alright to me.
I had a horrible time. For those of you who aren't Sci-Fi Christian podcast listeners, that time is well documented in one of our past episodes entitled The Disney World Disaster. And anyway, so then on the second to last day or something, so try and
Get a man to open that for you?
No, I got it. Maybe. Wiggle this cork out. It's been in there a while. Let's see. So, second to last day, we're at Epcot, and Epcot has, like, the whole stupid around the world thing, which is idiotic. There we go. Whew. And I had a rule for myself. I was only going to drink 2 beers a day at Disney World because they're damn expensive there, like really bad, as everything is there. And I was having a horrible time, as I was the whole week. And we got to, we were at Epcot, and I decided, okay, the place I want to grab a beer, because I did research ahead of time, right? I don't want to do the whole drink around the world thing in their stupid countries because it costs a fortune and most of the beer sucks. But I read the Canadian beer card, which had this, was actually really good. It was getting good reviews. So I thought, I'm going to go and get a pint of this.
Right.
And then I was going to have my second beer at dinner. Well, I had a pint of this, and it was so delicious and so strong that I thought to myself, if I have one more right now, instead of getting one at dinner, I will be buzzed enough to make it through the rest of the day at Disney World without having a horrible time, and that's what I did. So La Fin du Monde saved, well, I wouldn't say it saved the vacation. The vacation was already ruined, but it made a bad situation a little bit better.
Wow.
So
So you toast this beer.
This beer is near and dear to my heart.
You know, I'm a big fan of Belgian triples, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
Made my own, made
Oh,
kits.
that's good.
And it is quite delicious.
Uh-huh. And this I've had in the fridge for a while, so it's a little bit aged too.
Yeah.
Man.
It has every quality of a Belgian triple, including the strong that they do not put in the Belgian triple name, but always should be mentioned to newcomers to the Belgian triple family.
Yeah, this is 9%. So
drink slowly.
Yeah. So good stuff, and you know, Unibrow, you guys are the only. If you go to Disney World and you're suffering like I was, go to the Canadian beer cart at Epcot.
Right.
I mean, they knew my name by the end of the day. It's like, hey, it's Ben again. You know, so it was great.
Ben, seventh time here. Actually, crawling to us this time.
I had a shirt with my name on it, so that's why they figured it out. My Ben is right.
Sci-fi. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, which was also, I had to wear that at that point in the vacation because Andy had come around to my point of view and realized Disney World was a terrible place.
Well, if you tangle somebody for 5 days, she'll probably come around.
I'm just saying, she arrived at the conclusion all by herself. I'm sure I didn't have anything to do.
Yeah, you had no say in that whatsoever.
Don't go to Disney World. It's possibly the worst place on Earth. And I'm including Third World War torn countries with genocide in that statement. So
there was a Third World War?
I don't know. Third World. War-torn, genocidal countries. Yeah.
There's lots of commas.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
But yeah, don't go to Disney World. Okay, so Sons of the Harpy. Much more enjoyable than Disney World.
Yeah.
Now, you're feeling conflicted about the book changes. Or maybe not conflicted, you just don't like them.
Well, can we just hit them as they go? Because I have different opinions on them.
Okay. Where do you want to start? We've got...
Well, we have to start with the opening scene. We finally get to see Dorne in the opening credits.
That's true. Yes, in the opening credits we finally have Dorne make an appearance. So it doesn't have much more screen time this time than it did last time.
Yeah. No. A touch more because we have two different scenes happening in Dorne.
That's true.
So it is what it is there.
But we have like a 2-scene minimum in there.
Right. Yeah. But it'll come around.
Absolutely. So, and then also in the opening scene, post-credits, we have Jorah and Tyrion, and they come back one time later. They're not doing too much, but, you know, Peter Dinklage is so good of an actor, and his dialogue is so well written that, just like with Varys a couple weeks ago, even when they're not doing too much, it's just kind of a traveling scene, Peter Dinklage manages to make it extremely watchable. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Even when he was gagged, it was still fun to watch.
Oh yeah, he was just being as annoying as I think he was singing. Just being as annoying as possible so the gag can get taken off. And then he just nailed it with, you know, going through Jorah's life and the way that he pulled out his identity and then everything that Jorah's plan was, and Jorah is not too happy with him having figured that out.
They are not good friends.
No. Uh-oh.
Oh, see? That's where the pipe lighter comes into play.
See? You just grab another one.
So there's really not much to say there. They're just working their way towards an end goal here. Now we realize if not visiting Cersei...
That's right.
But actually going towards Meereen.
Which, if you were a book reader... you probably already know, but yeah, for show-only viewers, and even for those of us who are realizing how far off script we're getting in terms of the book.
Right.
I suppose there was a question of, when he says, I'm taking you to the Queen, which Queen?
Right.
And speaking of that other Queen, she was making quite the power play on Marjorie this week.
Yes. You know... In past weeks, I've had my concerns about Cersei and the role that she's taking versus the role that I wanted her to take.
Yeah.
No, she's fulfilling her correct role quite, I can't think of the correct adjective.
Aptly.
Aptly.
Yeah.
She is fulfilling it now in the way that I envisioned her fulfilling it. And you know what? I do like it this way.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way that they're setting her up here. I think I like it.
Yeah. Did you get a sense when Mace Tyrell was sent off to go talk to the Iron Bank in Bravos, and she sends the Kingsguard with him? Did you get a sense that there was a bit of a hostage situation being taken?
Oh no, not at all. No.
So it's like, by the end of Cersei's plot, she's got Loras in prison under the High Septon, who she doesn't have as much control over. And then she has Mace Tyrell off to Bravos with his buddy from the Kingsguard.
Right.
And you get the sense that where this is going is her having a nice conversation with Marjorie that says, look, I've got dad, I've got brother. You fall in line or they are going down in a hurry. The High Septon stuff, they played up the more faith militant stuff than they did in the book a little bit more. I don't remember them going quite as crazy as all that.
No, it was about that. But in the book, Cersei's a little more annoyed with them doing that. She's a little more like, well, just make them stop then. I mean, she does initiate the faith militant coming back.
Right.
And...
which she does for her own purposes, just like in the
book. Just like in the... Yeah. But, yeah, I would agree it's a little more over the top, which is this entire episode, I think.
Yeah. You have to love, too, at the small council meeting, just the ability Qyburn has, without saying a word, to look incredibly creepy the whole time. Sitting there in his chair, just
right. And
I'm plotting evil things!
Let it be known that he's the only one that did not say anything at the small council meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the only one that still has the trust of Cersei.
Now, on the other side of the story with Marjorie and Tommen, we have Tommen once again getting one of the best lines in the episode, probably the best line in this episode. Oh, you and Mother aren't getting along.
I think all four of us, both of our wives were out here at the same time, and we all just laughed. It was just like, nope, didn't see, oh, what?
And that's where you have to like that, yes, they've aged him up considerably from in the books.
But he's still a 14-year...
They've still kept the naivety that this is a guy whose mother and wife... he has no idea what's going on with them, and he has no idea the way that they're both playing him off of each other.
Right.
And so I like that they managed to maintain that aspect of his character.
Really, later in that sequence of event, I guess we can just... Do you just want to follow Tommen all the way through here?
Yeah.
Okay. So he... Marjorie's brother gets taken away, and it's, oh my gosh. And so he goes to defend his wife because that's what he knows that he's supposed to do.
Because she told him.
Because she told him.
Yes.
So he goes and tries to do what needs to be done, but the moment that blood needs to be shed, he doesn't do it.
Right.
Which is the exact thing that... It's the exact opposite of his... older brother, Joffrey. It's the exact opposite of him.
Yeah.
And I mean, we knew in the books it's the exact same thing, where they're the exact opposite here, and that they both needed to be trained, but in completely different ways in order to be a king. And unfortunately, Tommen is never, clearly at this point, going to get that training.
Right.
At least not in a training sense. It'll be kind of on the job training for him, because there's nobody there anymore to do that. I mean,
they're opposites, but they're not, because they both lack the same thing, which is somebody to really guide them into being a good king.
Right. There is no hand of the king.
Exactly. Tommen is the opposite of Joffrey, not so much in values in that scene. He doesn't resist bloodshed because of some nobility. He resists it because he's scared. Whereas Joffrey would have just been like, I'm the king, here I go, kill them all, And,
right, yeah.
And so it is interesting to contrast those two characters, and they're so well written, both in the books and on the show from that perspective, based on how far apart they are, except for where they're exactly the same.
Yeah, it is interesting how one character flaw can bring you right to the middle, like right to the same exact point, even though you feel differently.
Exactly. And I love the crowd seeing Tommen and crying out, "Bastard!" You know, and you get the sense that this is the first he's hearing.
Yeah, that was my thought too. This is it. This is the first time he's
what?
I thought everyone loved me. I don't understand.
Ma, why are people saying this about Dad?
Yep.
Yeah. And speaking of Dad, he and Bronn are on their way to Dorne, or not? They arrive at Dorne.
Yeah. I like this storyline so far.
Yeah, I like seeing
I feel
more
like
Bronn.
they've kind of taken over Brienne and Pod's role of the traveling companions who, fight with each other and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I guess the show just kind of has to have those two characters that go off together.
I did find it a bit amusing when Bronn's like, well, "Why do you have to be the one to go to Dorne?" And I'm just thinking, well, the answer is because we're changing the books and we need me to do something else.
Right. The answer is that you don't see me for 400 pages. And
Yeah. No, but I don't mind. I thought it was significant that Jaime sees Tarth.
Yes.
Yeah, which is Brienne's home island there. Also significant that we get the first sense of, which comes through very much in the books, of how he now has some very conflicted feelings about Tyrion in light of what has happened with him killing Tywin.
Yeah. And he was happy to set him free, but now that he's killed his father, he's still happy to set him free, but also he killed his father, and he's just not sure how to deal with it. I mean,
he wanted Tyrion to walk out of the cell, get on the boat, and leave, and he didn't do that.
Right.
Yeah. And in the books, of course, you get a lot of internal guilt from Jaime too. Like, oh, what did I do? With letting him out of the cell and all that. And then they're in Dorne. And they fight the soldiers. Jaime makes good use of his hand, that was a pretty cool.
That was good. I like that.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll see more of that this week. Kind of another good example of how I think this show is doing well with the inevitable travel scenes. And you get this both in epic fantasy novels, you get this in epic fantasy shows where there's a certain amount of having to position characters in different parts of the world and having to have them in transition. And those scenes can be, as somebody who's read a lot of epic fantasy, those can be really boring scenes, and this show's doing a good job so far of making them interesting.
Right. I mean, you have to get them from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And only point A and point B are fun. The in between is not.
Right. So you have to find a way to make in between, to communicate to the audience that, hey, Jaime and Bronn are on the boat and now they're on land. And that's really all as far as plot that gets communicated, and they find interesting ways. I mean, the fight with the soldiers is fine. It doesn't really do much for me. I don't care about action scenes that much. More of the dynamics of them talking is what I found engaging.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So, and then also in Dorne, I guess that they're kind of replacing, was it Arianne or something like that?
Yeah.
Her character, the kind of the lead sand snake with Illyria Sand, who was Oberyn's paramour. And so they've kind of combined those two characters, which is fine. And then we get the rest of the sand snakes, and they're
book related. Is it fine though? We can talk about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess so. I'm generally okay with them condensing at this point.
All right.
There's other things going on with Dorne that I don't want to talk about here for spoiler reasons. That if they are indeed cutting them out, I think is more problematic, especially for Dorne's character, but we can talk about that off air a little bit. Alright, so let's see what else we've got here. We've Dorne, you want to talk about, we'll probably end with Dany, because that was a big one. You want to talk about Sansa or Jon?
Let's go Jon, then Sansa. Sansa's bigger.
So, Melisandre and Stannis and Jon, or Being weird.
You know...
Just being weird.
It's just... I think... Okay, so first off, let's start with the letters. It is clear to Jon that this job is not stacking up the way he really wanted it to.
Right. There are some unfortunate political realities.
Yeah. He's not a bureaucratic person at all. He's a let's get this done kind of a person.
Right.
And so the fact that he has to sign all these papers, and he has to do something that he doesn't want to do. He does not want to sign that paper.
He has to ask Roose Bolton for help.
Right.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to do it. And it's like, but you have to.
Right.
He does it begrudgingly because he has to. Which reminds me of Ned Stark completely, where it's just like, fine, let's just do it then.
Yep.
You have to do it. It's political reality. Just make it happen.
It's an ugly job.
Right, exactly. And I think there's going to be more hard decisions for him down the road as well. And so, it stinks being the leader. Everybody wants to be the leader until you're the leader, and then you don't want to be the leader anymore.
Yeah.
That's about what Jon is starting to find out here, is that it's not all fun and games and I'm going to be the leader, whatever. Exactly. But he's seen that before too.
Yep.
You know, as I'm thinking about it now, just thinking out loud, Jon is the only character in this show that had a mentor as the leader before him. I mean, Robert Baratheon, a little bit with Jon Arryn, not so much. But Dany, not really, before she was a leader.
Yep.
And then you get Joffrey, no. Tommen, no.
Yep.
Robb, with Ned, but he makes his own poor choices there.
Right.
And so Jon is the only one who's seen leadership.
Well, Jon had it not only from Ned, but he had it from J.R. Mormont too.
Right, he got to see both.
Which arguably Robb's downfall, and I think this comes through more clearly in the books, is that he doesn't know how to be any leader but his dad. He's trying to do what his dad would do in every situation and not realize that, number one, his dad has a lot older and a lot more years of leadership and has a lot more credibility. And number two, it's just a different person.
Yeah.
You know? And Jon, I think, has a bit more going for him than that.
Right.
I thought the Melisandre scene was really interesting because I don't quite know what her motives are in that.
You know,
Like, is she trying to really seduce him, or is she testing him to see his resolve, or is she trying to get him on board with the Lord of Light the way she has with Stannis? Right. And we've seen that, doing it with Melisandre can produce some really interesting offspring.
Well, and if she's going to be heading to Winterfell and she needs this sort of shadow offspring to go with, that's kind of my thought process there.
Right, so there's like 5 different things she might have been trying to accomplish there. And it's difficult to say exactly what it was.
Could have been all 5 at the same time.
Exactly. I mean, and then the you-know-nothing Jon Snow moment is... I don't know what you do with that.
Well, it's the Lord of Light.
Yeah, we should be surprised by it at this point.
I'm not surprised by it, but I still don't like it. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I guess, you know what? Jon got over it. I don't know. He's becoming the leader who knows when he's being played. And I think he knew he was being played there and stopped it right then and there, and it was done. Right. And I think that,
Yeah, but you didn't get the sense that Melisandre felt like she had failed either. So whatever she was doing, having sex with Jon wasn't the only acceptable outcome from her perspective.
Yeah, which makes you even more concerned.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Stannis Baratheon for Father of the Year?
I think so. With the delayed, I guess if I have to hug you, I will.
Fine, damn it.
But he hugged her. What a good guy he is.
You just have to love, though, how, it's a great character moment, because it shows him as a real person, but it also shows him as somebody who has so completely shut down that side of his personality that he doesn't, it doesn't reactivate easily.
Which is interesting because we don't have a definite moment of when he shut it down. Because it sounds like it was, that emotional side of him was alive and well when his daughter was born.
Right.
And then, at least in the books and in the show, we have there's not like this completely crazy event happened and he shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is fine most of the time when you talk about that with a person. It's bits and pieces and this and that and whatever. But...
Well, he shut it down because that's how he feels he has to do to be a good leader. That's his idea of what a good leader is.
Right, to be completely emotionless.
Yes. And it's about justice, it's about, this is, everything's very black and white for Stannis.
Right.
And, emotions with your daughter don't fall easily into that.
That's true.
What do I
do? Right, I guess I'll hug you, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a great scene. All right, and then Sansa. We have Lyanna Stark coming back into the narrative a little bit.
Yeah, they gave you another Easter egg there with that conversation, and
is it an Easter egg or is it don't forget about this character?
Well, it's a don't forget about this character.
Mm-hmm.
I would call it an Easter egg for book readers.
To me, it was, and I won't say what the theory is, but there's a very popular theory that both book readers and show viewers, if you want to go search it out, should be able, you have enough knowledge where there's no spoilers one way or the other on this theory at this point.
Right.
And the fact that they were bringing back in her character, to me, suggests that we're heading down that road. You don't
sooner rather than later, which is
setting it up.
Which is scary, because that's like the deal of the show.
Which makes you wonder where they're going to get to in Jon's storyline this year.
Well, we know for sure, yeah.
But we shouldn't say any more about that. So Littlefinger, I love anytime Littlefinger kind of goes into teacher mode. Here's how you be a creepy, manipulative person. Here's what you do if Stannis takes Winterfell. Here's what you do if he doesn't. And yeah, I mean...
He's just got it all figured out, which is... I don't know.
It's, and you get such insight into his character and his manipulation that it's... whatever the outcome, here's how I use it for my advantage. Here's what I do with it. So, here's what's probably going to happen. Stannis is going to take Winterfell, and you kind of let him make you the Warden of the North.
Right.
Or if that doesn't happen, you manipulate Ramsay into essentially becoming the power behind the throne.
Which, I just kind of have to laugh at. Because Ramsay's not the type... Well... He's the type to be manipulated, sure, but he's not the type I want to hang around with to manipulate.
That's a tall order for Sansa in terms of the Littlefinger school of Machiavellian politics.
Kidding.
Yeah. But man,
it's what? I thoroughly enjoyed the Sansa scenes. For the first time, I think ever, I actually enjoyed a Sansa scene. Except for maybe getting her aunt pushed out the moon door.
Yep.
That's about the only other time where I enjoyed
telling you, Sansa's slowly but surely going to become one of the most compelling characters in this series.
Which she hasn't become in book 5 yet, so...
No, and that's the thing. We're kind of like, she's kind of sort of occupying somebody else's storyline, as we talked about last time.
But at the same time...
That's way beyond that.
Right. At the same time, that is totally minute at this point.
Right, because in the books, and this isn't a spoiler for any show stuff, is that Ramsay Snow marries a false Arya Stark. They have somebody who's a stand-in, and that's all she is a stand-in. The person they have stand-in for Arya has no political maneuvering or anything else.
Right, it's just like a friend of a friend of a friend.
Yeah, exactly. So then we put Sansa into that role, but it's
really
a very different role now.
Yeah.
So, crazy stuff.
Crazy stuff becomes now with Dany.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just...
So, with the Sons of the Harpy going nuts, And is Barristan dead?
Well, according to the preview that you see of the next episode, you would have to say yes.
Oh, I missed that part.
Oh. Well, at the end of the episode, they show the preview for the
Yeah, I
next
saw
episode.
that. I must have just...
Oh, well, he's laying on like a, like this same thing that both Joffrey laid on, like the little, called the pedestal or whatever thing.
So probably.
So, and he's laying there and Dany's next to him, standing over him, in like a big chamber.
That's a big departure.
That's...
Yeah. I don't think Grey Worm is dead.
No.
Though he was getting close too.
He was, yeah. I mean, this is... Gosh. What does that say about Barristan Selmy's character?
Yeah.
But you know what? You know what, though? I was thinking, now that I'm thinking about it, finally starting to enjoy Barristan Selmy's character.
Oh, I always enjoy him.
I know, but like in the show, we're finally starting to enjoy him.
That's true.
He's coming up with all these things. Oh, this is what your brother did. This is what, and he's finally starting to become a mentor. And this is all starting to happen, and then he gets killed.
Yeah.
We think. I mean, that's really what it appeared to be. Typically, when you get stabbed in the chest like that, you do not survive.
Yeah.
If he does survive, great. But from all indications from the preview and everything, he's not going to survive this, and that is a big departure, but also very George R. R. Martin-like to build the character up and then just take them out.
Now, I think the temptation for book readers as stuff like that begins to happen is to say, well, I guess that means that Barristan isn't going to do anything important in the books because they went ahead and killed him in the show. And I would caution against that. I think that, number one, they're condensing a lot of stuff in the show. Number two, we're going off script in a lot of different areas. And, well, I think that, yes, there will be a number of points where we wind up in the same relative scenario in both show and books. I don't think you can make that kind of statement that just because they might kill Barristan means that he's not going to be important in the books from this point on.
Right. I mean, because the only thing we know that the producers know is that they know
a few big things.
They know what the end game,
exactly.
And they know like a few other major points.
So don't despair, book readers. I don't feel, and that's why I'm really okay with the off-script stuff. I don't feel like they're spoiling the books for me. I feel like they are telling, the story has been the same up to this point. Many big points are going to end the same, and then there's going to be this big chunk in the middle that's going to look very different between show and book. And we'll see. When book 6 comes out, that's probably going to be the big indicator, because we'll at that point have at least all of this season, maybe all of next season. We'll see how it goes. But at this point, I feel like there's a big middle ground between where we've been up till this point and the end that is going to be radically different between show and books.
And I felt this episode more than any is that this episode has more, it has more show quality to it than the book.
I agree.
I felt like there was a lot more showmanship to it. There was a lot more, I don't know. It felt like I was watching a TV show. It did not feel like I was watching the book anymore.
I agree.
Which is fine. HBO makes quality television.
Yep.
I have no problem with HBO's television.
Exactly.
So I'm excited to join their ride now, but I'm slowly, as I'm sure our viewers are discovering, is that we are slowly coming to grips with the fact that
exactly.
we are watching something that is no longer what we've grown to love, which is tough to give up, but also, I don't know.
It's okay.
I was truly excited? That's not the right word. It truly shocked for the first time in a very long time in the Game of Thrones series when we saw that Barrister Selmy gets stabbed through the chest, and it's just like my mouth was open, and
just like, whoa.
You've never felt that way in the show because you read all the books.
Yeah.
I haven't felt that way since season 3 when all of a sudden Theon shows up again, I think.
Oh, yeah, because they got to book 5
Because they
stuff.
got to book 5 stuff before I was done with book 3, and I was like, what? He's still alive? And oh my gosh. And so it's been, I'm excited for not knowing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited too that, like I was saying to you, after we finished watching the episode, that's like, okay, the Meereen stuff in the books wasn't my favorite, and now it's like, okay, we're actually going to move past that point within a year. Part of why I struggle with Meereen in the books is that I'm reading book 5, and you're like, well, shit, is it going to be 5 years before we find out what happens next in Dany's story, and we're just taking forever in Meereen?
Well, so Meereen can go 2 ways here. See, the way I see it is that we have a passive Dany that can come out of the situation, or we have an aggressive Dany that can come out of the situation.
Yeah.
And both are set up from what we saw this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, she can come out after Barrister Selmy's death and go, yes, but I still need to fix these people. They are my children. I need to take care of them. I need to do this. Or she could come out of this going, like hell, we're getting... We're getting out of here. We're going to Westeros now. Get my dragons. We're going.
Yeah.
And she can come out of this both ways. And I'm not sure which way she's going to come out. Because
agree.
they set up both.
Yep.
So be prepared for a full season in Meereen. How's that?
I agree. I think that we are going to spend the whole season in Meereen. But I think next year we will finally see Dany doing what we have been waiting for her to do.
I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
Tears
I know,
of joy.
that's why it's like, okay, fine, don't wait for George.
That's fine.
We finally get to see it.
Just make it happen. Just see how it ends.
All right, no Arya this week, no Brienne this week, no Theon this week.
Yeah, that's right.
Anybody else I'm missing? I don't know.
No Bran.
No Bran. Well, still no Bran. I'm starting to think that people were right, and whatever I read was wrong. Where I thought that we were going to see some Bran and no Hodor. Halfway through the season almost. No Bran.
Yeah, I put $5 on episode 10.
They show Bran or something.
One of the final scenes we get to see Bran.
That could be, but if they do show him, it's going to be something like that.
Where it's just one scene at the end and it's the lead.
They flew him out for a long weekend or whatever, filming.
Yeah.
All right, any final thoughts?
Like the episode, enjoying where the season is going here. Excited that they're taking it in a new direction away from the books. Taking away the boring stuff. For what it's worth, I guess the boring stuff is kind of out the window. They're condensing a little more than... I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah. All right, everyone. No wasp attacks this week, so that's an improvement. I'm Bandy Bono.
I'm Ben Kirkwall.
This is Sci-Fi Christian. Goodbye.